Quantify for us the kind of growth you've seen.
See, I think for us, it was very important to stay in the business. And when we faced the pandemic, many products which were used in the hospitals, the demand went down. And for us, we quickly innovated in getting into VDM kits and other test kits and face masks. So that helped us to, stay in the business and take the growth from there. So that was important to be, stay in the market with new products. And we also decided to now increase our foray in dialysis field, in renal field. And we saw there was a huge shortage of products in the renal space because earlier in India, there was a huge reuse of renal products. And when the pandemic hit, all the renal centers started to use them one time. And that increased the demand of these products too. So that's where we are.
How much clarity do you have for growth going forward? Because the focus now has shifted to vaccination.
See, I think what we are seeing is the patients are back in the hospitals. All the elective surgeries which were postponed earlier, almost all hospitals in India are back to pre-COVID levels. And we are also seeing demand also coming from international markets because 70% of our revenue comes from international business. And there also we see the demand coming back as some of the hospitals have started getting patients back for elective surgeries.
Given that you're seeing increasing demand overseas, what are your plans for investments overseas? Are you perhaps looking to boost production capabilities?
Yeah, so we just expanded two of our facilities. One went live in November 2020, and the other one got live in February 21. So both the facilities were expanded in Jaipur and Faridabad in India. And now we are setting up two new manufacturing plants, and they should be up by early 2023.
So, Himanshu, how much are you investing abroad now? I mean, just in actual monetary terms here, and how much of your growth is actually going to come from overseas rather than domestically?
No, I think we continue to focus on the domestic market because I think India government has just recently announced in recent budget, they're going to invest close to around $10 billion in new healthcare infrastructure push. And also they are going to invest more in the wellness centers. So India, happens to be our key market. And in terms of investments, we are probably growing close to between $60 to $75 million of investment in next 2 years in infrastructure and new projects and in new manufacturing.
When we look at your stock, it's really outperformed the BSE Healthcare Index, and Himanshu up 140% or thereabouts. Are investors pricing in a move that you may be orchestrating to go up the value chain as you are with the renal side of things? Is that the deal, and what are you doing in terms of going up the value chain?
See, I think for us it's important to move in an area which is like infection prevention in hospitals. And what we are doing is right now focusing on products which will help in reduction of infection in hospitals. And most of these devices, and we have more than 300 international patents as a company. So we are pushing those products now, and we are ramping up the capacity for those products. So one of them is like our pre-filled syringes or our safety devices. So these products, we will see a big ramp up in coming years.
Absolutely, and vaccination, as you were discussing just now as well, is going to be key in the months and probably years ahead here as well. Are you confident that the Indian government can actually inoculate a quarter of the population by August?
See, I think the drive is pretty much on, and I think now they've opened it for private sector a few days ago, and now it's 24/7. So you can go and get yourself vaccinated if you're age of 60 anywhere in India, and there are like 25,000 centers doing vaccinations now. So I think that drive itself, and I think already close to 10 million people have registered in last 3 days for vaccination. And you just go online, register yourself, and then go to the nearest center and get yourself vaccinated. So I think that is happening, and government has already earmarked close to around $6 billion for vaccination drive. And in India, the vaccine is available at around $3. So I think government is pretty much sure that they will do it.
The other thing is, of course, in the post-COVID world, when people have been immunized, etc., how will your company look? Of course, this year it's been skewed by the demands being laid upon you to come up with things to prevent the spread of the pandemic, etc.
Yeah. So I think going forward, as I said, I think the future is about new products we are designing today. Renal business will take off in a big way. Our infection control portfolio of devices, which we think will be very useful going forward in future, because every hospital will have to relook at their infection control practice and probably also ramp up capacity in the intensive care area. So many of our products are used there currently. So I think we will see a ramp up of demand not only in India, but I think everywhere in the world.
So much optimism, Himanshu. What could be the bottlenecks?
I think bottleneck is, I think regulatory framework. I think the whole regulatory landscape is changing globally, and it's getting difficult and more difficult for companies to register products in Europe, in US, in other developed countries. I think that is something which we need to look at more deeply. But I think today most all our products are like CE certified. We sell in European Union. That's 30% of our revenue comes from there right now. So I think it's kind of wait and watch. And if you are bringing new products, the waiting time has increased to register new products out there. So that's the bottleneck I see right now. But rest is all about ramping up capacity.